Hey, good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy, and welcome to the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show, which just seems to be starting earlier and earlier and earlier. It's 6 a.m. It's on May 1st, May 1st. Welcome to the show. And what do we talk about on the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show? We talk about game, pickup, relationships, and sex, and all the components that are in game. And the things that you would find on our timeline. And when I say our, I mean myself and my Playboy's Bunny, who has her own show on a different broadcast channel that we cover game. When you come to our timeline, we want you to know what you're going to see, because we do fall under the umbrella of the red pill, which is really like MGTOW and men's rights activists and all the intersectional dynamics and debates, and even political debates, kind of like the conservative and liberal. But we choose, because we like to stay in our own lane and be good at what we do, we choose to stay out of the general debates, and we like for you to know, when you come to our website or our timeline on Twitter or our YouTube channels, that you're going to find useful, actionable, applicable information that you can put into your day or into your game that day, that will either help you move a stranger to in your bed and naked having fun, or you are able to improve on even a 20 or 30 year marriage, which is like what Bunny really specializes in, is reigniting, which is not the easiest thing to do. It's almost way easier to attract a new person or a new girl than to reignite the passion in a person that's known you for 20 or 30 or 40 years. There's always a lot of baggage, but she really specializes in reigniting the passion in couples. So that's what we do. That's what we're here for. And we're starting a little bit early this morning. Our normal time is 7 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, 6:30 on Wednesday, and Thursdays are 7 and 7. We start a little bit 30 minutes early today to get things going. And I always start with a maxim. Chateau is where I began my discovery of everything game many years ago, at least a decade ago, maybe more now. And he has around 200 maxims that are just kind of like the essence of all of his writings that happened over 7 years. So maxim number 41, the more experience you have with women, the more you'll know which women have experience with men. Corollary to number 41, it is the inexperienced beta male who is most often in the dark about a woman's sexual history and liable to be victimized by the cheating slut. So this really answers what good is game. You got to remember, we're a teeny tiny population. You take, for instance, fitness. To us, everybody exercises, but in the real world and comparatively, no one exercises. Literally less than 1% of the U.S. population exercises regularly. I know, I've been in this industry for like 40 years. So we know our numbers, and we know these numbers when we build a facility. But an even smaller percentage of even that 1% understands game or pickup or intersexual dynamics or evolutionary psychology, however you want to look at this. But the more experience you have with women and introspective experience, you can have lots. I've seen guys that have a lot of experience, but they're naturals. They don't know why they do. It's kind of like seeing a natural athlete. They're not good at coaching because they don't know. It just comes naturally. That's why you get the name natural. They don't necessarily know. But for guys picking up women, at some point, they do kind of like, it clicks. They're like, this thing works because these other guys have no girlfriends and no prospects. But you have to have, you can either fake it till you make it, but in that process, you start getting more experience. But the more experience you have with women, the more you'll know which women have experience with men. Again, you're able to identify girls that have more background. It's just kind of like, even for me, and I thought, I feel I was pretty savvy coming in, but it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I kind of discovered that, like, travel for women means there's going to be a pretty high body count. That travel for women means, like, they can get away and be anonymous and ride random dick or meet up with a boyfriend. Just there's all kinds of things. What travel means to women is completely different than what travel means to men. Travel for men means either business or their adventure, but for women, it means getting away from the prying eyes of their friends and family, and they can kind of like do their own thing sexually without a bunch of hangups. This is the type of experience that once you gather it, you lose some of your innocence, but you also become more savvy, and it's much harder to fool you. Just like, you deal with a girl who's like, does a lot of business travel. This is just one instance of knowledge, is knowing that travel allows for a lot of fucking around. And, if you're paranoid about your girl running around on you, and she says she travels 4 days a week for work, and she works with high level businessmen and, wealthy guys, she's probably not the girl for you, because it will drive you insane. As opposed to a school teacher who, teaches third graders, and she's been in the same school for 5 years, and she has no interest in anything weird. You start putting together a picture of the girl that's in front of you when you gather information, knowing what we know. And the more experience you have, the more you're able to discern, even just through their habits, their, you sit down with a girl that has a nose ring, hoop earrings, and tattoos. She is going to have a certain background, most likely. You can weigh on it, than a girl that sits down in a sundress, who went to your local community college, no tattoos, no social media, and was homeschooled. So you're going to have different outcomes. So that's what experience with women does. The more you know which women have experience with men. So when you know what we know, it allows you to better discern who's sitting in front of you. And the guys that need this most, which is kind of like beta guys that need more knowledge and more leverage and more understanding of who's sitting in front of them, are the ones that are almost always in the dark. Again, because that's like what we try to convey to guys. Like, you see these OnlyFans girls or girls that did a bunch of pornography, and they always, or strippers back in the day, they always will land on their feet, barring any heavy addictive drug use. If they can avoid that, 99% of the time, they're going to meet and marry a guy and have a normal life and land on their feet. And it kind of drives some guys crazy, more some than others, that in a way she kind of gets away with it, if you want to look at it that way. But it's true, because these girls understand men, and most men don't care about any of this stuff that we focus in on. They like to get high. They like to get drunk. They like to go to work. They like their hobbies, and their hobbies can be hunting, fishing, radio controlled cars, model trains, gaming 23 hours a day. It can be anything. Girls are way down on their list of importance, like number 27, 28, 29, way beyond, like right after church. It's not an important thing to them. It's a necessary evil, if you would, at some point. He wants to get his parents off of his back, and quit going, hey, when are you going to get married? So they finally just like settle for the first girl that touches their dick, and they're happy because they've got that box checked. Now they can move on. Just kind of like if they just want a job that pays the bills, they lay tile, or they do plumbing, or they lay asphalt, or they roof, or they frame, or whatever they decide to do, it's checked. Then they can move on to the things that actually interest them, which is radio controlled helicopters. And that's the real deal. You have to realize that we are a teeny tiny little group, but our knowledge base is pretty highly applicable because almost everybody kind of like hooks up at some point. Maxim number 41. So that is what this answers the question of what good is game in the general population? What good is game to the application in your life? Game being learned charisma is applicable in so many ways and is so useful and prevents you from picking the wrong girls, and it prevents the wrong girls from picking you, because girls generally that are savvy, that have been around men, know the men who know the deal, and they also know what a good target is should they need a beta provider that can kind of bail them out of some very bad decisions they've made through their 20s. So maxim number 41, the experience you have with women, the more you'll know which women have experience with men, slut tails. Corollary to number 41, it is the inexperienced beta male who is most often in the dark about a woman's sexual history and liable to be victimized by a cheating slut. Again, these girls that know men through heavy experience are going to land on their feet because there's so many men that do not understand women, have no interest in understanding women, and feel it's like a waste of time. They will get used at some point. It's not pretty, but it's the way it is. Whereas the guys that are savvy like we are, even if you're just on this broadcast, you're more savvy than the average guy by 90%. You're going to know more getting off this call in 20 minutes from now than most guys will learn about women in their entire lifetime. So that's the real deal with maxim number 41. That's where we're at. So what is an alpha? This is a longer one, but it's important. Defining the alpha male. This always upsets all kinds of dudes. You know, you kind of have to put what an alpha male is in your brain. And then this kind of destroys it sometimes. Defining the alpha male. This is from Royacy, Chateau Hartis. Many want to believe that getting girls is ancillary to being a true alpha male, that the real measure of an alpha lies in his ability to dominate other men, or his command of his environment, or his thirst for swashbuckling adventure. While these are admirable traits, they are nothing but a means to an end. Make no mistake, at the most fundamental level, the crux of a man's worth is measured by his desirability to women, whether he chooses to play the game or not. Pussy is the holy grail. That is why the obese, socially maladroit nerd boy who manages to unlock the gate to the secret garden and bang a 10 regularly is an alpha male. And that is also why the rich, charming entrepreneur who, because of an emotional deficiency or mental sickness, lives mired in parched celibacy is not an alpha male. And this upsets a lot of people, especially people that guys that understand like the word alpha is like that study from the wolf study where like there's one alpha wolf, and there's a leadership component to alpha and beta leaders and followers. But in the real world and in our world, alpha refers to a man who is attractive to women and brings those women into his life. And a beta being, no matter how rich or successful or brave or accomplished he is, if he can't pull women, he's a beta. And you see it all the time. You see tall, athletic, successful athletes or military guys, and they go home and they're begging for scraps of pussy from their overweight wife. And that is just not an alpha situation. And that's what we try to convey to people in our world. Alpha is measured by the three influences of rank, and I always have it in here. How hot are the women he attracts? How strong is that attraction for him? And how many women find him attractive? That's why, like that Chris Powell that unfortunately murdered his family of all things, who's getting nudes and letters and being pursued by hundreds of women while he's, basically in jail for life, falls under the heading of an alpha. And this upsets a lot of guys, but it doesn't change the fact of what it is. And so that's why when I include pictures of like Trump and Powell and some thug who girls murdered each other over, it happens every day, is more alpha than the accomplished multimillionaire business owner who can't get a date. And it happens all the time. It's just like I kind of try to convey to guys that every Friday night, you go to any like larger gym and there'll be 10 or 15 handsome, accomplished, muscular, well-built guys that are just at the gym on a Friday and Saturday night, because as accomplished as they are, they have no girls in their life because they are either socially awkward or shy, and if they have everything else going for them, and you would look at them and think, surely this guy does well with women, but they do not. They do not have any girls in their life because they are socially awkward or shy. These are the two big things that, I have at a certain point, even before I knew the game, I was like, what is the common denominator here that these dudes are not out and about on a Friday or Saturday night, meeting girls or going out and doing things? It's either a congenital shyness that they've carried their whole life, or socially awkward. And the awkward is just, they try, but they've not had much luck. But at the end of the day, when you define what an alpha is, it's the total package, but they don't have to be rich. They don't have to be successful. Every broke bartender, there's a few in every city, is banging, a bunch of eights on his mattress on the floor. He's not rich. He's not successful, but he's charming. And, he's got something. He has something, because they don't even have to be that good looking, and they are still closing constantly. So just keep that in mind, that when you're talking about alpha in our world, it does not correlate with athletic, business, wealth, anything. Because we know, and the number one thing that rich guys don't have any problem. There's plenty of wealthy guys that can't score a girl that you would want to be seen with, to save their life. They're good at making money. They were in the right place at the right time. They come from family money. It doesn't matter, but they can't attract a woman that they want to be around or that is worth being around to save their life. Therefore, they fall under that beta heading. Again, there is the other factors, the attractiveness, the muscularity, the height. None of these things are fatal to being able to be attractive to women. Game can raise your points 2-3 points, just knowing game and understanding logistics and targeting, and being able to tell a story that displays high value. There's all these things that work together that make you more attractive to women, and then being able to reel them in without pushing them away at the same time. So defining the alpha male, many want to believe that girls are attracted to what we value as men, like honor, accomplishments, success, wealth, athletic endeavors, military endeavors. But to women, none of that matters. It's window dressing. Women are looking for charisma, and there's all these other non-physical factors. That's why women are better online, because they're just kind of like evaluating your resume to a certain extent, and men are better in person because we have more presence, and that carries weight. And that's why you want to get them off the phone or off the apps as fast as possible and in front of you, because that's where you dominate, is in person. That's where your charisma can come through, your jokes, your laugh, your presence matters. And that's the real deal between alpha and beta. And it really confuses a lot of guys, and it upsets a lot of men. They're like, the guy's doesn't have any money, but it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter. Girls don't even think it. They don't know what car you're driving. They don't care where you live. None of this matters for 99% of women. They're just looking for that it factor, which we call game. So that's the real deal. Hope that helps you kind of discern what alpha and beta is when you hear these terms kind of being thrown around. So just in time for the holidays. And I wrote this like at 4 a.m. and I was trying to find the word summer, just in time for summer, but I couldn't. I literally could not think straight. So it's just in time for the holidays. A reminder of great alpha dismissive lines. This is the most important thing, is great alpha dismissive lines. You can use lines in a variety of places for the common things that girls are going to say. And they're going to say almost all the same stuff. They're not as unique snowflakes as they would like you to believe they are. But you can pretend they are. You don't have to let them know that you see it all the time. But certain words or phrases you can use to be dismissive, either in text or in person. And, like, it's complicated, gay, roger that, 10-4, I don't want to get you pregnant, which is my favorite because it's so out of left field, and bet, which is really relatively newer one. And this, guys, you'll never find a girl like me. It's complicated. You're the biggest asshole, roger that. I never do anal, bet. You'll, usable in any situation. And this guy had a very good example. I had a really nice time, but we didn't really click. I'm sorry. He said, bet. Or you could have used 10-4, roger that, any of it. But girls want to be the rejecter. And girls across cannot handle rejection in the slightest bit. That's why girls will, if they think you're going to pull the cord, will quickly pull the cord before you. You definitely see it. There's like a game show where there's a bailout button that they go back and forth. And when one decides that the other person's not for them, they hit that button. And you will see the girl like not have any interest whatsoever in hitting that button. But as soon as the guy goes for it, she'll try to hit it before him. I mean, it'll be like a physical reaction, even if she's not in the conversation and he's making the move, because women cannot handle rejection. So this girl wanted to reject this guy, and he said, okay. And the best thing is, oh, okay. What is bet? I just Googled it. It seems like a weird response to what I said, but okay, have a good day. Not even going to say have a good day back. You're an asshole just because I rejected you. Get over yourself. This college shit happens. Not everything works out. Again, a simple dismissive word, bet. You could use gay. You could have used roger that. I think gay's really good. Like when they want to like change plans, just send them gay, and they'll like go, okay, never mind. It wasn't that important. I'll just meet up at the same time. So these are lines you can use anywhere, anytime. They're dismissive. They let her wonder, what the hell did he mean by that? And it gets the point across. You're unaffected. You're abused mastery. Everything she does is funny. She's like a little kid. Anything she does not affect you whatsoever. It can't, because 90% of your time when you're dealing with women, even once you're in a committed relationship or married, 90% of your time is preventing the female from making bad decisions that will affect you or your family. And that's just, if you can get a girl that's making 10% good decisions, you're winning in life. Lots of guys have girls that every decision they make is a bad idea. And all he does all day is take calls, cleaning up her messes. And that's, the way they go through life, and they can't get anything done. But that's a real deal. So just in time for summer, a reminder of the great alpha dismissive lines. You can use lines anywhere, anytime. You can apply them. They even if they've seen them before, they don't remember, but they haven't, because most guys don't know this stuff. Again, you can just punch it in there. It's complicated. Gay, roger that, 10-4, and I don't want to get you pregnant, or bet. Any of these, just punch them in, and you can use them anywhere, anytime, and they actually work. Because again, they will really get her riled up sometimes, and that's okay, because what she wanted was a reaction. When girls reject a guy or break it, they're looking for a hurt, or a reaction or regret or something like that. And if you give nothing, that's better. You're unaffected by their decisions. You can't be, because you'll be all over the place all the time. And let me take a question here. And that's the gist of dismissive lines. It's like, okay, here's something to close it out. And then you never respond after that. You just let her boil like she just did. Fort Worth, is there a book one can read about this? They have no experience detecting women asking for a friend. If you have absolutely zero experience, like discerning, like slut tells or discerning higher quality women or the basics, I recommend my books, Basic Training 1 and 2. It's dating tactics and etiquette. And within that book, I have 100 points, and it's very basic stuff, but you need to lay down a base. That's why it's called Basic Training. You need to have a base of knowledge in order to build everything else on it. Because I do like Chateau stuff, but I spent probably the first 3 or 4 months as I was going through it, having to stop and look words up, because it uses so much game language. You have to know it in order to be able to read it well. So what Basic Training does, it takes a lot of the ideas that we learned through Chateau and through Roosh and Rollo. I mean, all the big guys, and puts it in very common language that a guy that's just getting into game or picking up women or meeting women or dating successfully can understand when he reads it. It simplifies things down into basic training. And then you have a base that when you're reading the more advanced stuff or the stuff that's more written with guys that are intermediate or advanced in mind, you can better understand it. So I recommend my book, Basic Training 1 and 2. It's in like a bundle, which I think is a good deal. And you can find those on my website or on Gumroad on my landing page. And I can include it in here. It's like fortworthplayboy.gumroad, but it has all my stuff in there. And Basic Training 1 and 2. Exactly. These are things that used to be passed down from one guy to the next, or if your dad was kind of a player, he would pull you to the side and go, hey, this is the deal. But a lot of that stuff is because most people are online now and they don't have as many in-person friends. The knowledge doesn't get passed down from dude to dude, player to player. So everything, you kind of need a base to work off of. And that's what Basic Training does. Hi, Fort Worth. Love the content. Question: for what would your dating app to in-person step-by-step plan look like? Again, is in Basic Training 1 and 2, step-by-step. And the real deal, if you want a system to take them from complete stranger to in your bed and naked in a step-by-step system, is How to Build Your Dating System. It's in-depth. There's nuances. There's things that you need to avoid. There's landmines. So giving you 3 steps doesn't actually do you any good. Pick up How to Build Your Dating System. I think it's like $19. And then you have a system that you can build. And you don't have to have a lot of background in this, that you can take them from complete stranger to in your bed using a 1 or 2 date system, depending on how you feel, or you read it, and I show you what to look for on those dates. You can move them into bed, and then you decide what you want to do after that. But what you need when we're talking about being able to meet a lot of girls over time and move them from stranger to knowing you, is a system that can be built and repeated. You just, after a while, you're just plugging the girls in to the front end and your numbers just go straight up. And is it possible? Yeah, absolutely. People pick it up and do it all the time. It throws people. They think that they need to do something unique, and every girl's like different. And what is kind of disconcerting, or every guy kind of goes through a period like this when you run a lot of women through a system, and the risk you take is you become kind of like jaded, because you realize that even if there's differences, they're not big differences. Almost all women are the same. Once you kind of drill it down, you'll hear the same questions, you'll hear the same answers, you'll hear the same concerns. That's the downside to having a lot of experience, is it takes the genuine, I guess, the fascination away, but it's replaced by having more control, and you're able to show them a better time. Girls like being around experienced men who understand women, and that's what my dating system does. Is it teaches you how to plug them in to a system that you've built, and you just move them along. Questions, answers, the whole thing. So that's what it looks like. It looks like a system of step one, step two. This is what you do. You bounce from one location to the next in order to compress time. Girls they think they need like 3 dates with you. Well, if you take them to one place and then move them to a second location, and then sometimes a third, or straight back to your place, it compresses time. It kind of gives them an idea or a feeling that they've known you longer than they have, and they kind of throw that 3-date thing right out the window. So there's tricks of the trade or within there. You don't necessarily have to know what the trick is. You just have to know that it works, and then test it out. I always tell people, if you're not sure of something, pick it up, apply it, test it out. There's 100% money back guarantee if you're not completely satisfied with your purchase, and I'll refund your money gladly. You can keep the product, because I know this stuff works, and you need a guideline to help you move them from A to B to C in a controlled manner, and where you do have control and success. So that's the real deal. I appreciate your questions. Those are both very good questions. So if you're going to build one habit today, what would it be? Get into the habit of talking to every girl that gets within your proximity. Get into the habit of talking to every girl that gets within your proximity. Hi, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's it going? How's it going? How are you doing today? How's your day going? Get used to speaking to every girl. And I always try to throw this qualifier in there because some of these guys freak out. They don't want to talk to an overweight girl. Every girl you find attractive. So every girl you find attractive, say hi. The reason is you want to desensitize yourself to talking to women. That way, when a girl that comes along, and even hardcore players, they go, God, she's better looking than I'm used to. And I got nervous and I started fucking up. So what you want to do is become very good at just picking up conversation. The more women you say hi to, the more women you present yourself with confidence towards, will react better to you. You're going to have more conversations. You're going to see more attractive women in your world because you're looking. And those things, it's kind of like you want a white Toyota 4Runner, and you're looking in the market for a white Toyota 4Runner. There's a part of your brain called the reticulating cortex that starts putting that, you start seeing white Toyota 4Runners, old ones, new ones, off color, but you'll start seeing the white ones more often. You'll be like, there's a lot of fucking white Toyota 4Runners around here that you never saw before. They were there, but you never saw them. Same thing with like my gym. They'll drive by, they'll come in and they'll be like, I drove by this place for like 10 years and never saw it. I go, well, how long have you had this weight issue? And they'll be like, it's relatively new. I've gained like 30 pounds since COVID. And I'll be like, well, you never needed this before. So you never saw it, but now you do. And it makes sense because if you don't need it, but if you're saying hi to every attractive girl you pass, you're going to see more attractive women, and you're going to spot them, and you become more confident. You have more conversation. And that just makes everything easier. You're confident and comfortable around attractive women. Of course you are, because they're comfortable around you. And that's the real deal. If you can build one habit into your day-to-day life, it's saying hi and carrying on a conversation when it's possible with every attractive girl. You don't have to get their number. You don't have to close them. You don't have to get their Instagram. You don't have to move them. You don't have to do an Insta date. You can over time if you wish. But again, for most guys, just getting used to being social and personable goes a long way. And you have to work on it. It's not going to be comfortable. But you do this one thing and it starts carrying over. It's just like showing up at the gym every day. You just keep showing up. Good things happen. And this is the same thing. Get in the habit of talking to every attractive girl that gets within your proximity. Guys, I've ran out of time. We're at 5 minutes. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your time with me. I hope you've been able to take something away from this broadcast today. And if you like it, share it, subscribe. If you are interested in building a system or attracting, if you want to get a basic understanding of game, basic training 1 and 2. If you already have a basic understanding and want to build a system that you can plug girls into and move them from complete stranger to naked and in your bed with repeatable results, how to build your dating system is in there. And I'm talking like $19 or $29. And you have a system that you can use and girls will go from complete stranger to naked and in your bed and glad to be there because you're doing them a favor. Girls want to meet sexy, fun guys that know what they're doing. And that's how you become that guy. If you have any questions, please let me know. Put it in the comments box or below the videos. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. See you then.